Testing 1 2 1 2.
Is it working? It's working.
It's freaking working.
Welcome to this new episode of JustReal. With you, Ali Kazma, Dubai real estate broker for the residential market, and with me,
Ahmad Didi, I'm a property consultant in Dubai's real estate market for the past couple of years. In today's episode, we will be discussing the difference between short-term and long-term renters. What does make sense for you, an investor, and the pros and cons of every single one. Starting with the short-term renters. First of all, how do you see the market right now?
personally, I don't like short-term rentals.
Why not?
First of all, it's a lot of involvement into the investment itself. And I personally don't like that. If I do buy real estate, I'm buying it just for some passive income. That's the first thing. Also, I heard there's a lot of headache in it. This is why I don't like it. So really, there's a lot of pros and cons. And from the pros, well, let's start about the cash flow, right? Everybody talks about money. So higher ROI compared to short-term rentals. That's first thing. You get a steady cash flow month on month, which is kind of nice for the investor. The second pro would be the flexibility in selling the property itself. So if you have it vacant on transfer, it's a lot easier for you to sell because then it's a viewing, somebody wants it. If it's an end user, they could purchase it. If it's an investor, then they have the idea of renting it out the way they want it. Then that's good. And the last pro for short-term rentals is actually a place to stay. If you're an outside investor coming from wherever, at least you know that if you come back, you don't need to pay for a hotel. You don't need to buy another property to stay in. So basically, you lock this unit for X amount of time, and especially if you have a nice view, it's a plus.
I agree with you, but in my opinion, everything that has pros in terms of investment, it should have cons on the other side, right? The cons of short-term renters, if we start with the high involvement. So if you have a property, you put it under short-term, you have to be on standby with the company that's renting it out.
And you see, and this is why I hate short-term rentals. Anyways, go ahead.
Yes, exactly. Moving to the second con of short-term, which is the occupancy rate. Not all areas in Dubai, not all projects perform the same when it comes to short-term renters. So if you have a short-term property in a location or in a project that might have low occupancy, this will reflect back on a negative income. You will be expecting a certain income, but you might not achieve it. The third one and most important one, especially in a city like Dubai, is seasonality. In Dubai, we have two seasons. We have the high season, we have the low season. In the high season, sometimes if you have high occupancy rate in the right project, you might generate mind-blowing income when it comes to short term. But in the low season, you cannot expect to have the same cash flow as the high season.
When do you determine when is high season and when it's low season?
Basically in Dubai, it's two phases depending on the weather. It's as simple as this.
Okay.
So if it's too hot, like for example nowadays, if it's very hot, you will not have much people coming to Dubai first. Second, it's only indoor activities, and what makes Dubai stand out is outdoor activities. Like we have the best beaches, right? We have the Burj Khalifa, we have the sceneries, outdoor activities, sitting outdoor in lounges and restaurants. This is usually very active. This is very alive. But in these times, in the low season, because of the hot weather, we cannot do this.
So basically, the downtime, so the low season would be the summertime, so it would be starting what, May up till September before school starts?
Yes.
So that's considered our low season, right?
Yes.
And high season would be more in the winter time?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
Like in December, it's fabulous. If you come to Dubai, it's fabulous.
But it's very expensive too.
I swear, it's very expensive
Yeah,
too.
it's
And
beautiful,
this
but-
what makes you money if you put your property on the short term
Yeah,
in
that's
these
it.
seasons.
Yeah, that's true. I had one guy that had put his property on short-term rental. He had a full Burj Khalifa view. In the 3 days of the New Year's, he made 30,000 dirham.
That's it.
3 days.
Yeah.
Per day was 10,000, and
That's
it was
it.
booked.
Exactly.
And people pre-book them 6 months in advance, so you know this is guaranteed.
That's
kind
it. 100%.
Yeah. But now, if we are to compare, if we are to compare, because we started with the short term, so let's do a bit of the long term to understand also what's the pros and cons to understand what's the pros and cons as well. And then at the end of the day, it's what the investor wants to input when he purchases an investment as a property, right? So for the pros, when it comes to long-term rental, is stability of income. That's one thing. Okay, you get 1, 2 checks, up to 4 checks, which is beautiful. Second thing, you could take out a loan on the Ijari. So if you do go to the bank, they will give you a loan to value on the rental income that you're getting. So it adds up to your salary. And the third one would be a low involvement, which I personally like into the investment. So it's basically you rent it out. If you have a good tenant, then it's beautiful. If you're not, that's part of the cons, unfortunately.
The other side of it, which are the cons, one of them is not having a good tenant in your property that might end up having troubles in the property, delayed payments, etc., etc. That's one of the things. And the second con is if you come to Dubai, you don't have a place to stay in. So if you're a businessman, if you travel a lot into and outside of Dubai, you don't have a place to stay. You will end up staying in hotels, in holiday homes, etc. And that's an expense at the end of the day. And most importantly, in my opinion, is the flexibility when it comes to resell your property. If you have a long-term tenant, you basically eliminated a whole target audience for your property, which is the end users, right? So we see a lot of these falling through just because the property is not vacant on transfer. Basically for end users and for the people who want to put it under short term and they are flexible, they want a place to stay. These people are interested to buy something vacant. And if you have a tenant, good luck selling your property.
True, I agree with that. Had a lot of difficult tenants that wouldn't even allow for viewing. So even if you want to sell and you're motivated and okay, everything is fine, the tenant, if he doesn't allow for viewings, that's a headache as well, you know. So
I think short term is flexibility, long term is safety. You have two different strategies for two different types of investors.
I do agree.
Right? And every investor, every strategy might suit an investor over the other.
Definitely.
You spoke about something is about short term basically is the occupancy rate. What do you think is the number one thing that affects the occupancy rate?
In short term,
the
the key point when you do short term rentals is to have a beautiful view located in an area that has a lot of attraction for tourists, such as your city center, which is downtown Dubai, Dubai Mall, Burj Khalifa, the fountains. You have the beach, everything that's on a beachfront.
Yeah.
It's incredible because you're gonna have the sunset on that side. People are gonna want the views of that, the accessibility to the beach. So Marina would be MR beachfront, JBR as well. Everything that's on the beach is like pretty much short-term savvy.
Makes sense. So basically it's about location.
Yeah, location and
I think it's about the sub-community inside of a community or a project inside of a community. Because when it comes to downtown, for example, not all the towers are good achievers when it comes to short-term renters.
Fair.
So the closer to Dubai Mall, the closer to the metro, like Burj Vista, for example, you have access to the metro. The more strategically located and accessible you are, you will see that you have a better performance over others.
But again, it also depends on the price. We're all consumers and we all check at, okay, so this place is, let's say, 5 minutes away from the mall, but I'm paying 300 dirhams less per night. Yeah, definitely I'll go to this one. And then you have the one that's 3 minutes from the mall, but I'm paying a premium of 500 dirhams a night. No, you know what? It's all about, because you have a lot of competition, especially in Dubai. So you have to be aware of the pricing. And this is where seasonality, again, you said it's important to follow. You cannot price your property the same thing all year long. And this is when good companies come in and they have the tools to analyze and to see who's the competition and say, okay, so for this month, or even I think they do it day by day, like they will check the pricing and they will adjust accordingly.
Look, the best companies in Dubai, basically, first of all, they have proof of concept. They have the data. Like one of the companies, not to mention any names, they have around 1,600 properties under their name alone. So imagine these have been in the market, let's say 8 to 10 years. They have all the data and all the best practices to know how to attract the right guests at the right times with the right pricing. So basically, it's a business, right, in which you have to differentiate yourself. Yeah. So you have to differentiate based on the price, based on the view, based on the service. Like imagine some companies, what they do. They have an add-on where they bring flowers or chocolate to every guest that books a property.
That's crazy. That's
exactly.
Nice. That's nice.
So this keeps an impression first, gets good ratings, and this plays with the optimization of these properties on porters. So when I'm a short-term investor, I want to choose a company where, first of all, they know what they're doing. Second, they are masters in customer service, because customer service is everything. Otherwise, these guests will go to hotels, by the way.
That's
right?
True.
So as an owner, you have to choose a company where they know these tricks, right? Where they know how to optimize their listings and hero sections on Airbnb, on Booking, and on their own websites to get you the highest occupancy and the highest income. And, you know, and these people take usually 15 to 20%, so they are not cheap. So you better generate, or they better generate a very high income for you in order to make the 80% remaining to your pocket make sense.
It's true. When it comes to customer service and short-term rentals, this is top key points, right? What I've seen a guy do is that in every single one of his properties that he does on short-term, he includes things like Xboxes, PlayStations, that little item that you put into the holiday home increases the value.
That's it.
The PS5 has, I think, and he told me like an ROI of 1,000%. Because he could increase the price of the daily night because he just put a PS5.
That's smart. Yeah. So he paid 2,000 dirhams and he's generating 10,000 dirhams at least out of this PlayStation. At least. For family guests.
There you go.
That's smart.
So you see, you have to play it smart as well. You have to know the little tricks, tips and tricks here and there. And a company that's well known in the market will be able to help you with that. But you know what? Look, short term is nice, okay. In my opinion, it's a good way, it's a good strategy to go with if you want to be really hands-on and to understand the market really the day by day, who's coming in, what type of clientele. But again, what's important for me as a passive investor is the long-term rentals, which if we are to compare the location between short-term and long-term, people are looking for affordability because these short-term places, you're not purchasing at a cheap price. You're not going to purchase 1 million dirhams a one-bedroom apartment. No, these places, which is beachfront or city center, which is downtown, they're very expensive. So if you want a lower type of investment that still generates money, you go into more affordable communities, such as, and I'm biased for that. Dubai,
I know you're biased.
Dubai Hills Estate is the best place or community for someone to rent out on a long term, because you have the mall, you have the schools, you have the King's College Hospital, you have a golf course over there. So it's amazing. It's beautiful.
It's a complete community. And this is also downtown. By the way, I've heard a lot of people saying that downtown is for bachelors or downtown is only for tourists. I swear, I see families in downtown more than any other community. Like, it's full of families.
Yes, but the first thing we hear, city center in any country in the world, you have a lot of tourists. So this is why we associate downtown with tourists, downtown, Burj Khalifa. Like, you ask anyone in the world, you say Burj Khalifa, they tell you Dubai, downtown. This is where they want to be.
True.
And I'm talking about my friends from Canada. They tell me, "Oh, are you in Burj Khalifa?" I forget about Burj Khalifa.
That's it. I mean, I've never heard someone outside of Dubai saying, I've heard about the Dubai Hills Mall.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense. Exactly. So yeah, I agree with you. But when it comes to locations, basically, I agree with you. It's like the short term, you have occupancy rate. Yeah. You can go and see the data of the long term. right? On DXB Interact, Property Monitor, whatever. And you can see the occupancy rate when it comes to long term. You can see the supply versus demand and what makes sense more than the other.
So really the key points to take out of all of this is that short term, you might generate a lot more money, but you have to be savvy. You have to be involved. You have to know what you're doing. Or two, you want headache-free investment. You do the long-term rentals, and that's it. You're getting your passive income.
100%.
Plus, you can leverage, which is, people don't know that, but leveraging on your rental incomes is something very good for expanding your portfolio.
Thank you, Ali, for the insight. I'm still with short-term rentals, by the way.
And I'm here to prove you wrong and to show that while you're scaling, long-term is best. But thank you, Ahmad, for your insights as well.
Thank you so much for watching this episode from JustReal. If you like this episode, please like, share, comment, do whatever that helps us reach more people, and maybe we can do more research about certain topics and share it with you. Thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you so much, Ahmad. See you in the next episode.
See you in the next episode.